Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Run Center, and hello, everybody out there on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to our TCS New York City Marathon panel talk for the month of August. Looking forward. Who here is doing the marathon? Hands up, nice and high. How many days do we have until the race? Anybody? Guesses? Anybody know? Do you want to know? 71. There we go. But hey, you have plenty of time. Don't worry. It's only August. We have plenty of time. But before that, we'll have a wonderful panel here tonight to talk about some incredibly inspirational stories on why they're doing the same thing you're doing on November 3rd, running all 5 boroughs. It's only 26 miles, right?
Only.
It's only 26 miles. Well, let's not get technical, Johnny, but we'll get out of there a little while, my friend. But thank you all for being here. If anybody requires an assisted listening device, and you have not already requested one, we do have those available for you here at the Run Center. Simply see our staff to my right, your left. I think that's correct. And they will help you out with that. We have bathrooms around the corner. If you don't already know where those are, they are gender neutral, so feel free to use the first one that opens up and take care of the business you have to. The event is being live streamed today on our NYR YouTube page, and the recording will have closed captioning. And those captions are auto-generated, and I do speak kind of quickly, so maybe they'll be a little skewed up a little bit. But we'll be okay, folks. We'll have a good time. I will introduce myself before our wonder panelists here. My name is Ben Delaney. I'm Director of Training Operations for all of our adult programs at New York Roadrunners. So I have the great opportunity to talk to a lot of our runners and learn a lot of stories on a daily basis, and I'm very excited to learn about the 3 people we have up here on the panel. For those who are listening online or who are blind or have any kind of low vision, I will go ahead and give a physical description of myself, and each one of the panelists will do the same. I am a white man with a less black hair than I had a while ago on top of my head, a gray beard, and I'm wearing a wonderful new 2024 TCS New York City Marathon quarter zip for men that is on sale up at the Run Center, the Run Hub. Just put it out there if anybody wants to go buy one. I have black shorts, and my name is Ben Delaney. And then to my left is exactly. It's my left is Molly. I'll go ahead and read her bio, and then she will give her description. So, Molly Van Linden, you're 29. You'll be 29 forever, by the way. Forever. You'll always be 29 years old. You donated your kidney to your mom in February of 2023. Your mom was diagnosed with Wegener's disease and went into kidney failure. It's a miracle that you were a match because you are adopted, which I think is incredible. Yes. She took you home as a baby. So again, I mean, anybody we'll talk more about the kidney donation. It is an incredibly tough process to go through. But we'll talk about Molly. You have competed competitively in powerlifting for a few years and have done CrossFit for about 7. We talked about your love of CrossFit.
Yes.
You love that very much so. But you're looking for the next challenge, and I guess that would be November 3rd. You've never been a runner, but running a marathon has always been a goal. You're running the TCS New York City Marathon this year to prove to yourself and others that you can do hard things despite the physical and mental challenges. Molly, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. A quick physical description for those listening at home.
Yes, I have brown hair. I'm wearing a tan shirt, black pants, and New Balance sneakers.
New Balance sneakers, good call.
Yes.
No shame if you didn't wear them there, Luke, but we're all good. No. And then next to Molly is Luke Karen. Luke is a member of Front Runners and been running for over 10 years. So you stuck with it, huh? You enjoy it that much?
I do.
You love it that much. First race was my favorite race, the United Airlines NYC half. You did it in 2014. We talked about that. And then you did the 2018 RBC Brooklyn half. And then you took a break as you and your husband were in the process of starting your family, which is amazing. And then 2020, COVID, all the fun that we know there. You took a break through 2022 when you were looking to welcome in your second son. And then, unfortunately, your second son passed away after 9 days. And obviously, on the heels of that, you find yourself in a dark place and dealing with a lot of stuff that was going on. So tough there. We'll go into that a bit more. But after some time, you found your way back, losing an astonishing 100 pounds. Incredible. In July, you and your husband welcomed a baby girl. We're just talking about that. You now are a girl dad.
I am.
Anybody out there? Steve, all the girl dads, give them some love out there. And then you're taking up the TCS New York City Marathon this year as a full circle moment, but this is not your first. You mentioned that earlier, right? You've done this other marathons, we'll say.
Correct. This will be my 5th.
Your 5th marathon. Well, Luke, go ahead and introduce yourself and give a quick physical description.
Hi, everyone. I'm Luke. I'm wearing every New Yorker's favorite uniform, a black pair of pants, a black shirt, white shoes. I have brown hair and a mustache.
There you go. It is the New York uniform for sure. I love that. Very good. And then on the far left, Johnny Pie. Johnny, how you doing? You're 40, right?
I am. I'm very happy to be.
Very good. Very good.
I'm
Love
happy
that.
I made it.
But at the young age of 32 years old, you suffered a stroke and turned your life upside down, losing vocabulary and short-term memory during that time. You remember the fatigue and the disorientation through the rehab as no words would come to mind for a whole year, which is amazing. You think about that. You find yourself very isolated, unfortunately losing your job and the financial support during that time. You gained some weight during that time, up to 350 pounds, which is incredible. And obviously the depression of having to deal with what you were going through in your life at 32 is very challenging. You stopped taking care of yourself, couldn't eat very much, began walking to avoid negative thoughts. The negative thoughts would creep back into your walks, and you decided to start hunting, which is, we'll go more into that. You're trying to outrun the embarrassment of not being able to communicate, provide for your family, or giving him something that he could control. After collapsing, a doctor realized how little Johnny was eating and suggested healthy foods could help him turn into running into something positive instead of the punishment, and everything changed for Johnny. He ran through the fatigue and the dizziness as he felt he was running towards something instead of away. Johnny said God is in his runs, giving him strength and focus. Since then, he has turned his job as an elevator mechanic, started training his kids as runners, and completed numerous 5Ks with them. And what do the kids love more than anything but medals, right?
They do love them. Yep.
They do love the medals.
It gives them great confidence.
It is. It's an incredible thing out there. And you started inspiring other stroke survivors through the Facebook support group. This will be your first marathon, and you will be running through your home borough of the Bronx. Looking forward to that?
I'm looking forward to every grueling second of it. Yeah.
And all of you who have done this before know Bronx is mile 21, right? It's the fun part, right? Agree with me. Everyone feels good in the Bronx, right? Uh-huh. Go with me. Go. Yes. Very good. We'll keep selling it up here, folks, for all of you who haven't done it before. But these are our wonderful panels. Johnny, give a quick description of yourself for our folks at home.
Okay. I am an earthling. Right. I'm wearing a white shirt, black shorts, and some New Balance kicks. I'm wearing a black hat, and I'm very happy and excited to be here.
Luke, Johnny, Molly, thank you so much for being here. I think it's the easiest way to kick off a conversation like this. It's a simple question, but I think it's complicated also. Molly, we'll start with you. Why are you running the TCS New York State Marathon?
So I'm running the marathon this year for myself. I do want to prove to myself that I can do this challenge. I feel like after donating my kidney, I was in a bit of a dark place because I felt like I couldn't do what I was used to doing. So I really just want to prove to myself and others that I can do this despite, going through something so major.
Yeah, I mean, and that's incredibly inspiring because what you've been through is challenging and what you're going to face out there is challenging. So maybe you'll find some new things out there. And I was joking with you earlier. Everyone says, I'm going to do one marathon. And guess what? You do more. Where are you today in that thought process? Are you still doing one? Or is all you're thinking about today?
Yes, as of right now, I'm still doing one.
Very good.
We'll see how I feel when I cross that finish line.
How many people who have run a marathon said, I'm doing one and done, I'm never doing this again? And how many of you did it again? Exactly, because it's the marathon. And I mean, you've done New York. It's a pretty cool experience, but we don't want to give, no spoiler alerts for those who haven't done it yet. But Luke, same question to you. I mean, obviously you've done marathoning before, so you kind of know what's in front of you, but the full circle moment you're going to have, new baby girl in your life, son's a bit older, everything you've been through the last few years. What is it about this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still wondering why I signed up to do another one. But no, I mean, with you reading my bio, it reminded me of like how dark of a place my life had gotten to after the death of our son. It was tough. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't showing up for my family. I wasn't showing up for my son. I wasn't showing up for my husband. And when I went to treatment, I remember writing down why I'm doing all of this, and it was for them. And, I think for me, signing up for the marathon mimics kind of everything that I've gone through in life. And it's a physical way for me to put it on paper. Like, I know that doing this, like, I can celebrate what I've been through, what I've accomplished in a tangible way. And, you know, it keeps me up and going. I mean, life is hard, but like if I know I have to get out there and run, I feel better about it. So it's a good way to kind of keep my mental health in check, to get me excited, to keep me going, and to keep something to look forward to on the horizon.
Although it feels good some days to put your shoes on, right, and go out there. Because I tell people running can be a very selfish thing, and I mean, probably all of you can kind of feel that. You're doing it for yourself, but in your case, I mean, getting out there for yourself feels pretty good because it is for you, it is your time, right, Luke?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my husband's here, and he can attest. There's times I tell him, like, I need to go on a long run this morning. And it's so important to go out there and do that for myself. I mean, when you go through something hard, it's you know, sometimes you don't know how you're going to get out of it. And I think the same is true when it comes to running. Like, when you sign up for a marathon, you think, how the F am I going to run this 26.2 miles? But, you know, you do it slowly but surely. And I think when it comes to something like grief or when it comes to something like running, you take it slowly but surely and you set little wins, and those little wins start turning into bigger wins. And next thing you know, you're in Staten Island, you're about to run over the Verrazano Bridge and conquer a marathon. And, you know, there's no better place to do it than New York when you have 2 million people cheering you on and really carrying you through. I mean, it's such a beautiful metaphor for me. You know, there's been so many communities that have helped me get through what I've been through. You know, my family has helped carry me through. And now I get to have the streets of New York be there cheering me on. So I can't think of anything better.
It's our little small town race. It's a small town of Manhattan and all the 5 boroughs we get to go through. Johnny, last up, my friend. You got to take us home here. Bronx native. I mean, I was talking to you earlier about that, where you're from, and you said you're hoping to get to mile 21 and still have your legs underneath you, but, you know, it's your hometown, my friend. How's it going to feel out there on race day?
Well, you know, 5 years ago, running seemed nearly impossible. I mean, I never even thought about being some kind of athlete. I've never been a runner. I've never been anything, but, right, like, honest, like with you, right, mostly lazy about life, like with work and as a person. I was never really pushing me towards something, but what's really pushing me with this run is thinking how 5 years ago, running seemed nearly impossible. You said, over 350 pounds. I was dizzy, I was lightheaded, I was tired constantly. And that lasted for 4 years. You know, unable to take care of my kids financially and not even with advice. You know, I could even like play like a video game. I couldn't follow anything, right? I was just lost. And so eventually when I did start run, and there's a lot in between that I could tell you about, but when I did start running, it was never about a medal. You know, it was never about miles or time. And that's why this is the first time I finally signed up, because it was never about that. You know, it was always about finding my potential. How far can I go today, right? And it was challenging me every day, and I ran every day. I didn't care what the weather was. I didn't care if it was hot, cold. I didn't care if it was my birthday. I'm going, right? Like, I'm going. And so once you make running your priority, right, everything else just fell into place. And I'm not really running this for me. After 2 years of running, I started training my kids. And shortly after that, I signed up for, you know, on those Facebook support groups for people who also had strokes. And I didn't know how I felt at first about signing up, because if I was going to share my running videos, I didn't want to seem like I was showing off. I didn't want to seem like, you know, that I would just see what I could do, right? Like, I really wanted to share this to show them that there is hope out there. I know what hopelessness feels like, and I didn't think I had a chance at anything like this. But nothing gave it to me. It was getting up every day and sometimes every night, sometimes twice a day, and just get out and go. And so I'm running for those people who I also support now, those people on those Facebook pages. I'm really doing it for them, because being up here is totally out of my nature. I'm more of like an introvert, and I can't believe I'm here now, but I feel like God gave me this gift, and I can't let it go. And I wish it could have just been my little secret, but something is telling me to do this, and I'm doing it for them. So thank you very much.
That's awesome, Johnny. It is true. I mean, it can be uncomfortable to be in these spaces, but you're sharing again. I mean, everyone has a story. Everyone remembers why you ran the first time, why you thought putting right foot, left foot over and over again was a good idea. You all have your stories on why you're getting here. And that's why these stories are, to me, are so fascinating, because everyone's got one and why you're here. It was interesting you say the medal doesn't mean much to you. I got to tell you, man, the medal for the marathon is pretty damn cool. So hopefully you like it when you see it.
It's definitely going to be symbolic.
It's symbolic.
Definitely symbolic.
I mean, maybe your kids will like it. I don't know. But it's a pretty cool medal. Anyone who's got a TCS, New York City Marathon at home, or it's pretty cool. I mean, it's an achievement. You're getting across 26 miles. I tell a lot of our runners, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not easy, and you get it done. And the stories that you carry with you as you go through are very important. So we talked about, why we start running for the variety of reasons, why we keep doing it, why we come back to it. So Luke, coming to you, you lost 100 pounds, everything that you've been through. We talked a bit about, before looking at 2014, Luke, and looking at where you are 10 years later. You did take the time off. So talk about that feeling when you took that time off and what it was like coming back from it after everything that you had kind of been through and finding that spark and that joy again in this thing called running.
Yeah, it definitely brings me back. I think I distinctly remember being in treatment in Connecticut and getting on the treadmill there and trying to just do a workout, because there wasn't a lot of other things that you could do, and setting the treadmill to like 4 miles an hour and just feeling like there was no way I could ever get back to the shape that I was in back when I was running, 2014 through 2018. But being on that treadmill, like, there was something just innate inside me that was like, you can do this, you can get through this, you've done it before, you can do it again. So I remembered back to when I first, started running and started training. I would set little goals for myself. So when I started running again, I remember just trying to get through the first workout, trying to get through it. And then the next day I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try a minute or two a little bit faster. And then slowly but surely that, 0.1 that I was adding for a minute or two started to go to 0.5 and started to go to 1.0. And I signed up for my first race back around Thanksgiving of 2023, or I have my dates wrong, but and I remember running it and actually doing pretty well. And I was like, you know what? There's something to this thing about running. There's something to it. Like, you can find small wins in any workout that you do, and that really helps you build confidence and really be able to tackle big goals. I ended up signing up for a marathon in February of this year, and it was to celebrate a year of sobriety and to get, to mark that milestone. And I ran it, and I've signed up for other races since then, and I'm running faster than I was 10 years ago, which is insane to think about, but it's true. And it's, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, this time there's meaning to it. There's, I realize how short life is and how, important running has become to me. It's just really helped carry me through a lot. And so to be able to have the chance to go out there and do it and to really savor those moments and be able to lace up those shoes, it's just really exciting for me. And, I can't wait to run in November. So.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hear. I want to follow up with all of you afterward to see how your experience was, because it is really a special day, whether it's your first time, your 10th time, your 24th time. It always takes on a special meaning. And it is the progress. You talked about just the small things as you go through, and sometimes you just have to get up and keep going through it, because if it was easy, everyone would do it, but you're not. You have to get up, whatever it takes. Is it 0.1 more? Is it the same that you were doing before? It's important to kind of take it where you are. I think when we talk about it, running meets you where you are, and it's important to give yourself that allegiance and that grace to say, okay, this is where I am today. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Luke. It's where I am today, and I'm going to be somewhere, and that's fine. That's okay. So Johnny, we talked about the mindset. You're running towards something as opposed to running away from something. Talk about that switch. What was that like for having come through all of that, and and finding the positive in it where for so long there was a negative with that space?
Okay. In 2015, that's when I had the stroke. And for 4 years, it was just downhill after that. I couldn't truly understand people for nearly 2 years until I could hold a light conversation with someone. And so in that time, I was turned down disability twice. Even though I couldn't understand a thing, I was still turned down. And so I had to go on welfare. I had to sell everything I had, right, which wasn't much, right? I went through like housing court, even though I didn't understand anything. I couldn't like afford a lawyer. I was my lawyer, and I was the worst one that I could find, right? But did the best I could. And in those 4 years, I really gave up because I couldn't see a light anymore. And people tell you, oh, well, you have kids, you got to do it for your kids. But after 4 years and watching them, they still go to school, and they still play, and they still have fun, and they still watch. They don't need you. That's what it feels like over time. And it's not like you could tell them, because nothing would come up. Every time my mouth would open, I would picture what I want to say, but nothing would come out. It was like I was a prisoner within my own mind. And so what was I running from? I started walking. I had to get out because all I did was think of negative thoughts that were leading me to really dark places. And so I would walk and walk and walk. And I decided that I wasn't going to do anything bad to me because I didn't want to put that on my kids or on my father. I would never do that to them. But maybe if I had a second stroke, or maybe if I had a heart attack, then I'll just be a victim of circumstance and I wouldn't be as pathetic. And so I started walking and I decided starving myself. I hated myself. I didn't even know what I was. You know, I tell you it's like 350, but it could have been 400. Like I didn't step on a scale. You know, I didn't want to know, you know? And so when I started walking, it gave me a break quite a bit. And then I would walk back to my house and I would look up and be, why am I even here? And I would just keep going. And I was so lightheaded that I didn't even know like what time it was. I didn't know if it was Monday. I didn't know if it was, right, like, I didn't know what time it was sometimes. But after a few weeks, the negative thoughts found me on those walks. And I hated it. It was like I had a spot where I could take a break, but now it was with me again. And so I ran away from it. I started running. And my goal was just to make it to that corner. And I didn't make it. I was so dizzy, I think I ran into a tree or something, right? I fell and I was gasping for breath. I looked down, I see the scrapes on my hands and knees, but I realized that I wasn't thinking about the negative thoughts. It hurt, but the negative thoughts were not there. Man, I got to do more of this, right? And so I got up and like I ran and ran and ran. And when I would get my breath back, I would go again and go again. And when I would get home and I would be totally soaked, right? Blisters everywhere, right? Like I felt so good because I had a break. But when I got back home, it was back. And so I tried to run as quick as possible. I would run night and day. I would run through the snow. I didn't have these beautiful shoes then. I couldn't pay for them then, right? I didn't even like know about them because it was never about recovery. I was trying to run myself into my grave, run myself into the ground, hoping that finally that heart attack would come. And I did this for 6 months when I finally collapsed. I was just walking, and suddenly I had no feeling in my feet, and it felt odd, like, what's wrong with me? And then I had no feeling in my knees, and it kept rising up, and I fell, and I just thought it would keep rising and rising, and it would reach my heart, it would reach my brain, and that would be it. And I was petrified in that moment, but at the same time, I thought, I wish this. But deep down, I didn't want it. I was scared. And some guy walked over to me. He turned out to be a doctor. And the first thing he asked me was, when was the last time I ate? And I said, I don't know. He said, hold on. He left. He came back with something. I don't know if it was chips or something, but I ate it. And after about 15 minutes, I got that feeling back into my legs. And so the day after, I went to a doctor because I wanted to know if this was going to be fatal or if this was just... And he said, dude, you're starving. And I didn't look at it that way because I didn't even feel hungry anymore. I didn't feel anything. I just wanted to know, can I go run? He was like, I don't even know how you were running. And he asked me, how far am I running? And I didn't know because I never tracked, right? I know trees I've crashed into, right? And like usually in 30 minutes, I get really dizzy. And after an hour, sometimes I could black out, but then I come back, right? But I didn't know. And he said, you could be really good if only you ate. And it was the first time someone ever told me that I could be good at something. And I never thought of that, right? I never thought of being good at something. I just wanted out of here. And so I tried to fight. I was like, no, man, like, nothing will change it. And he said, please, take this list. And he wrote down a list. It had, veggies and all types of stuff, right? Supplements. He said, you have no iron in your body. You will collapse. And I told him, I said, dude, even when I run, even when I cross streets, I don't look. If it happens, it happens. He says, don't let it, man. Just take the list. And I took it, even though my thought was, I'm going to throw this out as soon as I leave. But I didn't, because I thought he said that I had the chance to be good. And I had no control over my life, right? Like, I had no words. Even when he told me like these things, he had to say it like 50 times for me to get it. But something about what he said really sparked in my brain. And the day after, I went and I got some grilled chicken, I got some veggies, I took some iron supplements. And in 3 days, I felt I was transformed. I was out running. And usually, I don't know, probably then, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 miles straight with no food before I felt I was going to totally pass out. And then I would take a break and do it all over again. But I don't know how many miles I did, but definitely over 10, maybe over 15, because I was out there for a long time. And I couldn't believe what I was doing. And I really found tears coming down my face. And I felt for the first time that I want to know how far I could really take this. I want to know how far I can take this. And so I let go of whatever I was holding on to, and I stopped caring about all the things I was frustrated with, frustrated about not having work, frustrated about not being there for my kids. I was frustrated at everything. I was angry all the time. But I didn't have any anger when I ran. I just felt great. And with the food and that perfect combination of nutrition and constant running, it wasn't just me running extra miles. I started understanding people. I remember I was lacing my running shoes, and the TV was on, and I found myself paying attention to it. Like, whoa. And then I called up my dad, and then I called up my wife, right? Like, it was like, can you hear? Talk to me, right? It was like, I don't know what happened, but like my brain turned on. There was a spark there, and I knew that I can't stop now. That I feel even now, and it's been many years, but if I stop now, I'm going to go back, and so I can't stop. But after 2 years of that, my wife told me, like, you've been so great, like, like with all the running, why don't you teach that to your children, And when she said that, there was that second spark that I realized. For years I wondered, why did this stroke happen to me? Why me? And was I really that much of a bad person? Like, none of us are perfect, but was I that bad to really suffer this? But I realized then why I had to, and it was to train my children, and I did. And I did it hard, right? But I did make it in a very fun way. My daughter at that time was 10, and my son was 5. And so I had to make it fun, and I did. But shortly after that, that is when I joined the Facebook Survivor group pages, and I got to meet all of these great people who are unfortunately greatly suffering, and some people are way worse than I ever was. Some people cannot move, like some people can't even walk. And so, but from their positive responses, it gives me even more fire to get up and go. It's snowing out there, and these people are crawling. These people can't even stand. And I'm going to cry over some wet snow. I'm going. And I'm going for them. And I'm going to record this, and I'm going to show them that if you want this, maybe you can, but this is how hard it's going to take. running has to be the priority, number 1, 2, through 100. And that's what I did, and that's what I'm running towards. I'm running towards my potential. And I'm sorry it took so long. But.
No, thank you. That I know. Yeah. Wow. That was talking about a journey you just took us on, Johnny. That was incredible. Yeah. The words are hard to come by. Usually, I'm not that speechless, but that was it's impressive. Again, it is the journey. Like I said, everyone's got their story to tell. We just heard one right there that I think is going to resonate with just about every one of us. And I can't wait for you to come to the Bronx. And hopefully you have a hell of a cheering section for you, because I think you're going to, hopefully you'll smile and enjoy that moment and take it in, because you soak in the moments. Don't let them pass you by. And I think we're all kind of learning what that is. Molly, you donated your kidney to your mom. Never an easy process. I happen to know somebody in this room that also did the same thing. He donated kidney to a friend of his, and I talked to him about his recovery process. Your recovery, your surgery was challenging. The recovery was very tough. So kind of walk us through that part of your journey, the surgery, the recovery time, and then what kept you wanting to get back out there and take care of yourself, run, do CrossFit, all those things?
Yeah, so the recovery was difficult. I wasn't able to lift more than 10 pounds, and as a weightlifter, that was awful. And I couldn't do any core exercises. I was only able to walk. At 4 weeks post-op, I stepped foot into a gym again and was doing very light stuff. At 6 weeks, I started joining CrossFit classes again, and all my workouts were modified to fit what I could do. And then at 8 weeks, I went back to work. And then at about 4 months post-op, I realized I wanted to train competitively again. So I signed up for my second powerlifting meet, came in second place, and I also signed up for my first 5K in years in between my training. And then I PR'd my time by 4 minutes. And then I realized hey, maybe I can do this. Maybe I should run a marathon. And my coach thought I was crazy, but when I got this opportunity, we were let's do it.
So you went straight from a 5K to a marathon, just jumped over the 10K and the half, peanuts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Anyone else make that mistake? Make the same decision? I don't know. But talk about that. You're going through all of this. Before you donated your kidney, you were very active, I'm guessing. You did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So during that time, what did you miss? What were you, you said you were 10 pounds, you had to modify things. Was there anything that you missed or anything that you're hoping to do? Did you find yourself trying to do more, or were you able to keep yourself kind of in the moment during those times?
Well, I probably got back into fitness a little too soon, but I couldn't help myself. Before the donation, I was very active. I loved weightlifting. I never saw myself as a runner, but kind of getting that taken away from me a little bit hurt. But I think now I've found a new passion because of this, because I was really only able to walk or run for weeks. And during that time, I realized that this isn't so bad.
How much did your mom play into some of that, knowing that you share something with her very unique and very special?
Well, my mom is very happy. She's very thankful, and I know she's really proud of me, and I know she's watching me right now. I really wish she could be here, but I'm very grateful that I was able to help her. She helped me when I was a baby, and now it was my turn to return the favor.
I love that. That's awesome. And again, anyone who's run the 5 borough, the TCS or your marathon, you know what happens out there. Even if it's your best day or your toughest day, your worst day, it's a day. You have a story to tell. I've been grateful enough to do it 6 times. I have 6 different stories to tell, some not so good, some great, but that's part of the process. So we're going to talk about that, John. So again, I've played the Bronx up a few times for you. Obviously, it's all 5 boroughs, but you're from the Bronx. What is it going to mean to you when you cross over the Willis Avenue Bridge, mile 20? Is your cheer section already set up? Do you know where they're going to be?
Well, I did take a look at that map, and we are just briefly in the Bronx, but
We're there nonetheless.
But still, I am born and raised from the Bronx. All of my ups and downs are from the Bronx. My saddest chapters are from the Bronx, and I hope that my greatest one is upcoming with the New York City Marathon. and it's going to happen over the Bronx, and so I'm very happy to do that.
I mean, it's not. I mean, how many are native to New York that actually run this and go through their birth? Do any of you actually go through where you live? What is it like? I mean, it's got to be pretty cool because you have probably a big fan club there. It's probably a cool thing giving them more than once to come out there. So hopefully you have people coming out to watch you that day. You have a whole crew going to be out there somewhere in the Bronx, John?
We should definitely plan that out. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you got 71 days to plan it out. No pressure, my friend. Okay, Molly, you're local. You're from the area. It's also your first. You picked a good one to your first. I mean, I think anybody up here could probably tell you that. I ask why. I'm going to ask you why. I mean, of all the marathons, why this one? Why now? What was it that said, this is my time?
I mean, who wouldn't want New York to be their first marathon? I mean, I feel like it's one of the most exciting marathons in the world. I couldn't say no when I was presented this opportunity. I do feel like I was very lucky to get in. And I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. I was there my whole life. And this city is so close to home, and I have so many good memories here that I just want to run through them all.
All the memories, all the boroughs, all
All the
five of them.
boroughs.
You're only in Staten Island for a short amount of time, for better or for worse. No, anywhere from Staten Island. I don't want to upset or offend anybody, but really there for a short amount of time. But we're in Brooklyn for quite a while. Yeah, it's I'm just excited for John. I mean, Luke has done marathons before. He knows what's kind of in front of him. I'm going to get to your question next, but it is. I mean, it's unique, and I love how you talk about getting the opportunity to do it. And I think it's not everyone has this chance. I mean, you all do different ways to get here, but anything you're looking forward to, particularly besides just getting to the finish line, or just you're going to enjoy the whole time out there?
Well, I'm really excited to see all the people that are going to be there for me. I mean, I feel like I have a huge support group right now, and I think they're more excited than I am, for sure. But I can't wait to see them when I'm running. It's just going to be the extra boost that I need.
Yeah, and you'll need all the boosts you can get on certain parts of the course. Don't want to spoil anything. We all know where those extra boost points are. Fifth Avenue, cough, cough. We all know where to be there for sure. Okay, Luke, full circle moment. Come on, I mean, 2014, you ran the United Airlines NYC half 10 years ago. Everything that you've gone through, you've touched on a few things here today. You've done New York how many times?
Twice.
Okay, so it'll be your third time. So you know what waits out there. I mean, your son's going to be there. You're young, and your daughter may not remember Dad going through this time. So I mean, does that mean you have to do it again later? We'll talk about that in a little while. But talk about the full circle moment, everything you've been through to have the opportunity to run all the streets again through New York.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a new lease on life after everything. I think the first time I went into New York, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't bring any gels with me. I didn't train properly. I didn't do long runs. But I completed it. This time I'm going in with a game plan. I am running with the community. I am doing the training. But I think the most important thing is there are people that have seen me at my absolute worst, and they'll get to see me at my absolute best. And I'll get to line up on that line. I'll make my son proud. I know my husband will be proud of me. I'll create memories with my new daughter. I'll get to honor my late son. And just really go into it as a new person. And, it's like running for the first time, running it as a new person for the first time. So.
I mean, and sweaty hugs on race day are the best, right?
The best.
The best. You're out there. I mean, your family might not like them. We like giving them to them, and we smell so great when we do it, right? It's all the good things, for sure. We're gonna wrap up here. One final open-ended question. Each one of you, Molly, we'll start with you. How does your story? You've laid out so many things. How does it motivate you? Training for a marathon, as you're finding, is hard, but you've done CrossFit, you've done the powerlifting, so you're competitive in the nature. What motivates you through the story you're telling to get up when it's humid outside, when you're tired, when you don't want to be there? What keeps motivating you to put those shoes on and get out there?
Well, like you said before, not many people have this opportunity, and a lot of people can't do what we're doing. So that really keeps me motivated. I do think it's kind of amazing that me, along with some other people who have donated organs, major organs, get to run 26.2 miles. And you wouldn't even know by looking at me. So I do feel like this, it's just amazing. It just keeps me going.
It does. It keeps you out there. And again, we all love to do it. Don't know why we love to run, but we do it every single day, right? But we're out there. Luke, you touched on it a bit more. Your older boy, honoring your late son, your daughter, your husband, things you've been through. I mean, anything else you could say about what motivates you? Because it seems like you touched on a lot of it.
I think, my story is just one small story of the marathon. And it's incredible if you really think about it. Everyone that crosses that line from the first place person to the last place person has a story to share. And it's so inspirational to be just in that crowd of people just checking something off of their, bucket list and just writing, the ending to a chapter in their life. It's just it's so powerful. It's moving. It's an amazing day. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, it feels good to write your own story, doesn't it?
Totally.
Whatever chapter you may be in.
Yeah. I mean, it's life has highs and lows, and if I can write this one to be a high, then that'll be great.
It's going to be an awesome day. I mean, and again, it's unique because we do get to run on the same track as all the pro athletes. We're all going to cross the same finish line, run the same. You don't get to do that in most places, and you get to do it here in the 5 boroughs. Have a good time. All righty, Johnny, you got a lot to motivate you, it sounds like. I mean, you've kind of touched on your last responses, but again, what keeps you going out there? You've already said weather, not a problem. Piece of cake. What else out there keeps you going, my friend?
I really have 2 main reasons, because the stroke now happened in 2015, and I used to use that, but it's been so many years now, and I've evolved since then, and I don't see myself as a victim. I don't see myself as, feel bad for me for anything, right? Like, I don't want people to look at me that way. I don't try to portray myself that way, but what really keeps me going is 2 things. It's the stroke survivor people who I follow on Facebook. These people are great, and I talk to them very often, and I hope they're watching, right? And the second thing for me that keeps me running is the idea that if anything would ever happen to me today, tomorrow, if I would lose my life, even in 10 years from now, even 20 or 30 years, I realize that what I'm doing now is more important now than ever, because if my children in 10 or 20, 30 years from now, if they're going through some hard times, if they feel like it's hopeless and there's no way out of this, I want them to think of their dad and how hard he worked and how hard he fought through hopelessness. And if it was in me, it's definitely in them. And so I do it for them now, and I do it for them in the future.
Amazing. Awesome. Love that. Coach Steve, do we have any questions in the audience? Anybody have questions in the audience? Anybody have questions for our panelists? Don't be shy. Raise your hand. We've heard some amazing things.
I'm going to bring a microphone over to you. Hang on.
Hold on. We've got a microphone coming up here.
I apologize in advance. I just got 2 fillings, so I'm coming down from some Novocaine. First off, your stories are all so inspiring and so incredible, so I really appreciate you guys sharing with us today. My dad said to me before I ran my first marathon, 1 foot in front of the other, and I know it's pretty simple. I think you mentioned it. It got me through so many different points, especially the Bronx. He just looked at me in the audience and said 1 foot. I'm wondering if you guys have any slogans that have gotten you through tough moments.
Any mantras out there to share with the group? Molly, you have any? Johnny, anybody?
A slogan. Well, I have one when I talk to my fellow stroke people. When I talk to them, I tell them that I'm taking them with me. I can't take them physically, but I could take them spiritually. And I would mention that before every run in the narrative that I would leave for them. But I decided I needed a bit more. I needed to connect to these people. I don't want them to think that, that they're unnoticed, like how I felt. And because I couldn't use language, I felt like an idiot all the time. I would try to avoid people all the time, right? I would never put me in this kind of situation because I would just make myself, right? I was way too self-conscious. So I have this slogan, "You're coming with me." And I started really using that in the past month because I told my fellow stroke survivors that I'm going to pick 2 stroke survivors every run, and I'm going to write their names down. And usually I draw the little red ribbon as you see it here. And so I would draw that, and then I write their names on it. And I write underneath that you're coming with me. And I fold it, and I let them see it. I put it in my pocket, and I take it with me. And on the run, sometimes I'll leave that note in a special place. So for every time I go there, I could remember that person or think of that person. And I try not to only write down the people who always comment and is always super friendly. I look for the people who are in the group but barely speak, because I want to get them out. I want to let them know you're not in this hole by yourself, and you can come with me, and you could take others too one day. Right? So my slogan is that you're coming with me.
Molly, Luke, any mantras?
I mean, for me, one that comes to mind when I was running in Hilton Head marathon this February, it was with my little brother, and he's a little bit faster than me. But there were a lot of times where I really wanted to quit because I just felt like it was too much. And he said, just keep swimming. And it's from Finding Dory, which, you know, is what it is. But for some reason that stuck with me and really, really pulled me through that race. So if, you know, another one I like, I don't know if there's Peloton people out there, but Bex always says, like, forward is a pace, I think she mentions. And I love that too, because there's times where you really feel like I want to give up, but just keep swimming, just keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. So.
Any mantras there, Molly?
I often think about if there's a will, there's a way. And I want to cross that finish line, and I will cross that finish line. So, yes.
We all will cross that finish. Any more questions out there? What do you got, Steve?
We got a question online
Okay.
from Mike. He says, how does the challenges that y'all have gone through and overcome affect other parts of your life outside of running? Do you take on challenges differently outside of running, differently than you did a few years ago?
Anybody?
Yeah, you know, I think what I've been through has put a lot of stuff in perspective for me. I think things that used to really ruffle my feathers don't necessarily ruffle them as much as they once did. And I think, you know, running in a lot of ways mirrors a lot of how I look at life. If there's something challenging, like, break it up into small blocks, find easy ways to kind of get over those hurdles, and you know, small wins add up. And, you know, I think you can tackle a lot of life's problems if you know, think about them that way.
I believe that running will give you confidence, and so it will greatly help you in any aspect of life. You know, I was scared to go back to work working as an elevator mechanic. It's very technical, it's heavy work, right? And if I can't hear right, if I don't get the words right in, I could kill someone. And so it's very important. But running gave me that confidence. Running gave me the confidence to go back to work. It gave me the confidence to sit on this stage. You know, it gives me confidence in every aspect of life. And so I recommend everybody, and even if you can't run, then walk, crawl, do anything. Put yourself out there, because the rewards is worth it.
Another question came through for specifically Molly. Question was, what was the worst or the hardest part about donating your kidney?
So, I mean, I would say the hardest part would be, you know, not being able to do the things that I was able to do before donating. Now I feel like I do have to be very careful about, you know, what I eat, how much sodium I can take, where I can get my protein from, things like that. So that was very difficult to make that change. But, I mean, it was for my mom, so I'd do it all again.
Any other questions from the audience? Don't be shy. Maybe you have something you gotta. Don't be shy, people. Come on. You have a question? Can you make me riff? Make me ask questions, more questions?
Ben, we got.
We got questions over there. There we
We're
go.
gonna come join you. Here you go.
Hello. Thank you so much. I just have a very simple question, and it's, How do you remove pressure from yourself in the training process and not focus so much on the outcome and trying to hit a certain time? And while that might be a goal, like how do you maintain the joy? That's the whole point of the marathon to the marathon, because that's something that I'm struggling with right now.
Well, for me, and what worked for me may not work for you, but try it out. Like I said earlier, I never really measured time or I never measured distance. It was about the run. And when you're doing it that way, you don't put yourself in a box. For instance, if I say I'm going to run 10 miles today, if I'm going to run 3 miles today, then I know when I get up to that 2.5 mile mark, I'm going to start thinking, oh man, it's almost over, it's almost over. But if I didn't put myself in that box, I would just keep going. I would think, wow, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to see a sunset soon. Maybe I should keep running until I see that, right? Like, when was the last time I did a night run, right? Like, don't put yourself in a box. Don't set limits for you. Running is already hard. Like, don't make it any harder, right? Like, try to have some fun while doing it. And so that's what I say. Eat right, because I found that when you're not eating right, the negativity turns on. And when you're eating right, then the positivity turns on. So I think eating right helps you physically, but even more so mentally. So if you're trying to overcome things, start eating right.
Yeah, for me, I was a lot like you. I used to really focus on hitting certain goals and hitting certain times. But over the last year and a half, I've kind of reframed my thinking and really focused on progress over perfection. Just to know, like, I'm going to have off days. There are going to be days where I'm too tired to hit certain paces. I'm too tired to run. I'm not feeling well. I'm sick. But you know, if I can focus that I'm making that progress in the right direction, then that's a win. So I don't have to be perfect, but if I keep that trend slowly going up, some weeks it's like that, some weeks it's like, but yeah, progress, not perfection.
I mean, I'm struggling also. Like, I'm a very competitive person, so time means a lot to me. But how I'm getting through this is having a great community and a great support system, and I found that to be very helpful.
The only thing I would share, just easily, is maybe not the best term to use, but run naked. Don't run with anything that tells you what you're doing. Just run. Leave the watch at home. If you're on music, leave the music at home. Listen to the world around you. We live in a city, go find some place and listen to what you do. That can be very freeing, because then you don't worry about what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just doing whatever. I think to John's point, there's no box. You're removing any kind of restraints you may be putting on yourself, because we runners care about time. I don't care if we say it or not. The numbers on the board mean something when you cross, and you have a goal in your head, and that's great. But sometimes just letting that go and just being in the moment can be a huge piece to finding a freedom within the space that could be very helpful on race day. If you're having a good day, it feels very easy. On a bad day, you're not like, oh man, my mile time's gone down a minute. I'm only at mile 13. I'm gonna be out for 4 more days. Just let it go. Be free in that moment, because there is joy. And I say, don't forget, you paid to do this. You're paying to do all these things. Don't forget why. I think we've heard a lot of whys up here, which is pretty damn cool. So.
We had a shout out from Lisa. Lisa says, and I think this echoes many people in this room, says, thank you for courageously sharing your stories, your vulnerabilities, as well as your strengths are inspiring and will help me continue with my own journey. And to lighten it up, Jetson has a great question for each of y'all. Are you a morning kind of runner or an evening kind of runner? This is where I get down and deep here.
I'm definitely a morning runner. I want to get up and get it out of the way so I can enjoy the day. But it's fun to switch it up and run nights sometimes. It's definitely a different beast out there. Night runners are different than morning runners, but I'll leave it at that.
Just to clarify, Jetson is my dog. So, but I'm a morning runner, but because my runs are now getting longer, I have to run in the evening. So that stinks, but I would say I'm definitely a morning runner.
I do prefer the mornings. That's when you have your most strength. But there's something really special about running at night, especially at sunset, because in my area, well, it takes me, about 3 miles to get there, but I run through the urban area first. And then I run into Pelham Bay Park, and I mean deep into Pelham Bay Park where there's no lights up there. But for years, I've been coming across family of deer. Sometimes I hear coyote. I see bats flying by me. So there is a beauty in the darkness. And even though I love running in the daytime, and when I run over these little bridges, I get to see the water as far as it goes. But there's something running at sunset, running at dusk, and I'm the only one out there. And I feel like these roads were made for me. And that's what I love most, right? That this road was paved for me. And I'm just happy to be there.
I think an informal poll, Coach Steve, is in order here. Who's a morning runner? Hands up. Morning runner? Evening runners? Oh, I think the morning runners win on that one. If you do both, you like whenever I got time, I'm out there, whatever I got to do. So there we go, folks. Informal poll. What do you got, Steve?
Albert, great comment. All of your stories are motivational. Thanks for sharing and putting yourself out there. And a great question from Sarah. What are you all most looking forward to on race day?
Completing, right? Right. Like I feel like I built up so much that I'm doing this, and it is my first one, and so I have a lot of fear, but my confidence keeps out-tipping it. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do my best, and I hope that all you guys are gonna cheer me for it because I'm gonna need it. Please.
Yeah, I echo that. I also think nothing beats both the start and the finish of the New York Marathon. I don't know if they still do, but they fire a cannon and they play.
Oh yeah, they do.
They play an iconic song, and you run over the Verrazano Bridge, and it's dead quiet, and you're like, "What did I just get myself into?" But there are so many magical moments along the way, and when you cross that finish line, there's absolutely nothing like it in the world, and I can't wait to give my family a hug when I cross that line. So.
I mean, I can't wait just to say that I ran a marathon. That's really it.
It's a damn good feeling to have too. I mean, and not to spoil anything, but Molly and Johnny's gonna be your fastest. Regardless of what happens, you're gonna have a PR on November 3rd. Luke, I hope you have one too.
Me too.
We're gonna think positive about that, right? Think positive about that one, my friend. What do you got, Steve?
I think our last. Does anyone have questions
Any
in the
more questions?
audience? We have one more online, but cool. All right, last question we'll take from Cassandra. Says, what do you listen to when you're running? And she also says, hi, Molly, I love you. So one of your friends. What do you listen to when you run?
Molly, you listen to tunes when you run or listen to the world?
I listen to music.
What do you got?
Oh my God. I listen to a lot of Drake. I'm a huge Drake fan, so he's the only person I listen to.
The playlist is just one artist for however long?
Literally.
Luke, what about you?
Yeah, I've become a big fan of Spotify DJ. Just kind of puts things on and I can listen to it. But I've been doing long runs, no music, and I will say I love it. It's a completely different mindset. It goes by a lot faster, I find, because I'm not timing out the songs in my head. So race day, I'll probably go no music.
Wow.
Johnny, what you got out there?
Well, growing up, I played in heavy metal bands, but while running, I would just burn out like listening to that stuff. So I had to change that up, definitely. Right? If I plan to be out there for some time, it can't be that. I'm sorry, but so these days I love my 1960s soulful music. I listen to Wendy Reen. I listen to Lee Moses. I don't know if you guys know this, but right, anything calm with a good rhythm that my body could form into as I'm running. That's what I'm doing.
I will say, if you go out there anyone who's done the TCS New York State Marathon knows there's music along all the courses except the bridges that we go through. So hopefully I don't think Drake's going to be there though. So sorry about that. We make a phone call, see what I can do for you. But hopefully we can get it going out there. Molly, Luke, Johnny, I cannot thank you enough for being here tonight. Your stories are amazing. I look forward to all of your stories on that day. Everybody give them a hand before we wrap up tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Stay around if you have questions, but everybody online, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you November 3rd. Have a good one. Good night, everybody. Bye.